Silence isn't emptiness. It's a hidden weapon, a magnetic force that can make someone stop chasing and start being chased. In relationships, many men talk too much, share too quickly, and reveal their feelings before a woman even feels the spark. But what if I told you that saying less, pausing, and mastering the art of silence can make her notice you more, think about you constantly, and even start pursuing you without you having to try? This isn't about playing games or being cold. It's about understanding human psychology and attraction at a deeper level. There's a quiet strength that most people completely overlook. When a man talks too much, explains too much, or shares every thought instantly, he unknowingly gives away his value. But when he learns to use silence, something almost magical happens. The mind begins to fill in the gaps, curiosity sparks, and attraction builds naturally. Silence, in the right moments, doesn't push someone away, it pulls them closer. Think about it: when someone doesn't answer immediately, when they pause before replying, we start to notice them. We analyze their words, their tone, and their presence. The human brain has a natural craving for completion. When things are missing or mysterious, it tries to fill the gap. That's exactly what silence does. It creates mental space where desire can grow. A simple example: a man texting a woman constantly might think he's showing interest, but the truth is he's giving her nothing to wonder about. There's no tension, no anticipation, no spark. But if he replies thoughtfully, waits a little, or even stays silent for a while, she begins to wonder, why didn't he text back? That tiny pause creates curiosity. And curiosity, as you'll see, is the first step toward emotional investment. This isn't about being cold or ignoring someone for no reason. It's about understanding that attraction thrives on balance, on a push and pull between presence and absence. Silence allows a man to demonstrate self-control, confidence, and independence without saying a single word. When she senses that you're not available to be owned or controlled, it naturally makes her value your attention more. There's also a psychological principle behind this: humans are wired to notice what they don't have. We naturally desire the unattainable. Silence creates an air of mystery, a sense that there's more beneath the surface, something she can't immediately grasp. This triggers a subconscious desire to chase, to explore, and to uncover what's hidden. And once she starts doing that, you're no longer the pursuer, you're the prize. Real-life examples are everywhere. Think of the people in your life who always leave a little unsaid, who never over-explain themselves. They stand out. People listen more carefully when they speak, and their presence feels more magnetic. Contrast that with someone who constantly talks, jokes, or shares every detail. Eventually, they blend into the noise. Silence isn't emptiness, it's a magnet that draws attention naturally. Another important aspect is emotional pacing. Talking too much can overwhelm someone's feelings. Silence allows emotions to simmer. When you let her experience curiosity, anticipation, and even a little uncertainty, she starts to engage emotionally without you pushing her. She's doing the work herself, thinking about you, imagining moments, wondering what you'll do next. And that mental engagement builds a bond much stronger than words ever could. Using silence effectively requires practice. Start small. Hold back in conversations, delay texts thoughtfully, and resist the urge to explain every action or feeling. Notice how people react when you pause before responding. Observe the curiosity that emerges. Every time she reaches out during your silence, it's proof that your absence is now creating desire. By mastering the art of silence, you're not becoming mysterious for no reason, you're becoming intentional. You're controlling your energy, protecting your value, and allowing her natural curiosity to do the work for you. Silence isn't passive, it's strategic. And when used correctly, it sets the stage for everything that comes next in attraction: subtle signals, emotional triggers, and that magnetic pull that makes her chase you without you having to say a word. Communication is more than words. In fact, most of the time, words do less than our body language, tone, and presence. When a man learns to speak less but communicate more, he becomes magnetic without trying. Subtle signals are the secret language of attraction, and when combined with silence, they can make a woman notice you in ways that words never could. Eye contact is one of the strongest tools. A gaze that lingers just a fraction longer than normal signals interest without saying a single word. It creates a moment where she feels seen, valued, and slightly unsettled. It's not about staring aggressively, it's about presence and intent. A fleeting glance that returns to her eyes at the right moment can make her feel a connection she can't quite explain. That tiny signal, repeated over time, plants curiosity and emotional attachment. Then there's body language. Standing tall, relaxing your shoulders, and moving with calm confidence communicates strength silently. Subtle touches, like a light hand on the shoulder or guiding her gently through a door, signal care and attention. Even your posture while sitting, leaning in slightly when she speaks but not overly, shows engagement without overdoing it. These signals work because they are natural and understated, creating a rhythm that draws her in. Tone of voice matters too. When you do speak, your words should carry calm, steady energy. A relaxed, confident tone communicates value far more than constant talking or jokes. Women subconsciously pick up on this energy. It signals that you are secure, grounded, and not desperate for approval. Every word you speak then carries weight, because it is rare and intentional. Another layer is timing. A pause before answering a question or responding to a message makes her wonder what you are thinking. The brain is wired to fill gaps and solve puzzles. When your actions and signals are precise but not overexposed, she begins to invest mentally and emotionally without you asking for it. She starts noticing things she hadn't before: your small gestures, your calm presence, the way you seem unaffected by minor distractions. Even silence itself becomes a signal when paired with these subtle cues. When you laugh softly, smile gently, or glance at her thoughtfully without words, it communicates interest without vulnerability. It's the perfect combination. She senses your attention and curiosity while still noticing that you maintain control over your emotions. That balance is addictive. Many men make the mistake of thinking attraction is about showing feelings openly. But subtle signals create tension and interest. By mastering gestures, posture, tone, and small touches, you communicate depth and value silently. She begins to chase your presence, imagining your reactions, and even interpreting your silence as meaningful. The beauty of subtle signals is that they work in everyday moments. A brief smile as you enter a room, a calm nod when she speaks, or relaxed stance while talking to others, all of these quietly amplify your presence. You don't need grand gestures or constant affirmation. The small, consistent signals create a magnetic effect that pulls her in naturally. Understanding and practicing these signals changes the dynamic completely. You stop being just another person trying too hard, and start being someone she notices, remembers, and unconsciously thinks about. Each glance, each movement, each small signal communicates value, presence, and intrigue. The silent language of attraction becomes a game she can't resist playing, and her mind begins to chase the emotional connection you are creating effortlessly. There's a difference between ignoring someone and withdrawing strategically. Strategic withdrawal is a conscious pause, a deliberate space that makes her notice your presence and realize your value. When a man pulls back correctly, he creates tension that turns attraction into a chase. It's not about being cold or manipulative, it's about giving her the chance to feel your absence and, in doing so, start thinking about you more deeply. Humans naturally notice what disappears. When someone who was once present suddenly creates a gap, the mind starts to dwell on them. Memories of shared moments replay, small details are analyzed, and emotions resurface. This is exactly what happens when you step back strategically. A woman begins to feel the void, and her curiosity transforms into desire. She wants to reconnect, not because you ignored her out of anger, but because your absence created space for her to realize your significance. The key is timing. Withdraw too much or too abruptly, and it can push her away. But a controlled, subtle withdrawal, pausing messages, giving her moments without your presence, or speaking less in person, creates the perfect balance. She starts to wonder what you're thinking, how you're feeling, and why you aren't always available. That mental engagement plants the seed of pursuit in her mind. Emotions play a big role here. When you're constantly present, she may take your attention for granted. But when she experiences even short periods without you, her mind starts filling the gap with emotions she didn't realize she had. Nostalgia, curiosity, and even mild anxiety can surface, and these feelings make her crave your presence. Strategic withdrawal makes her do the emotional work for you, thinking about you, missing you, and subconsciously valuing your attention more than before. It's also important to maintain confidence during this withdrawal. She must sense that your decision to step back isn't out of frustration or insecurity. Calmly maintaining your routines, focusing on your life, and showing that you're not desperate for attention communicates strength. She notices the difference between a man who chases and a man who has control. The latter is magnetic. Texting is one of the easiest places to apply this principle. Instead of responding immediately to every message, create thoughtful pauses. Respond when it feels natural, not out of obligation. Let your words carry weight. This small act teaches her patience, builds anticipation, and encourages her to engage more actively when she does reach out. In-person interactions can also benefit. Don't dominate every conversation or follow her everywhere. Step back subtly, maintain your presence, but allow her to come toward you. Let her initiate gestures, ask questions, or seek attention. The more she has to pursue your attention, the more she invests emotionally, creating a stronger attraction. Strategic withdrawal is not about playing games, it's about balance. Too much pursuit from a man can reduce attraction, while calculated absence increases it. When she notices your calm confidence and the fact that your attention isn't guaranteed, she begins to value your presence more than ever. The desire to chase grows naturally, without you ever having to demand it. By mastering this approach, you create a dynamic where your presence feels rare and valuable, your silence becomes meaningful, and her mind begins to revolve around your absence as much as your presence. The chase starts quietly, in her thoughts, in her curiosity, and in the subtle tension between attention and space. Attraction isn't just about looks or words, it's about emotion. A woman feels drawn to a man who can make her experience something deeper, something that lingers in her mind long after a conversation ends. Silence, combined with subtle signals and strategic withdrawal, has the power to trigger these emotions in ways that words alone cannot. When used correctly, it creates a magnetic pull that makes her start chasing without realizing why. Emotions are tied to anticipation. When you don't constantly reveal your thoughts or feelings, she begins to imagine them herself. Her mind starts filling in the blanks, creating scenarios, and projecting feelings onto you. This isn't manipulation, it's psychology. Humans naturally desire what is slightly elusive. When she senses that you're not fully accessible, her brain starts craving your presence, replaying your gestures, your tone, your laughter, and the moments you shared. Small, deliberate actions amplify this effect. A gentle touch, a brief, meaningful glance, or a soft smile can stir feelings she wasn't expecting. It's the subtlety that matters, nothing exaggerated or forced. These tiny triggers create emotional memories in her mind. She starts associating you with feelings of curiosity, comfort, and excitement, and those emotions grow stronger every time she experiences them. Listening also plays a crucial role. When you stay silent and allow her to speak, you give her space to express herself. This makes her feel heard and understood, which is deeply attractive. A man who listens without interrupting, who nods or reacts subtly, creates an emotional connection without having to say much. Silence, in this case, becomes a canvas on which her feelings can develop. Another powerful tool is timing. Sharing personal thoughts or subtle compliments sparingly makes them more impactful. When she senses that your praise, your attention, or your insight is not constant, it becomes rare and valuable. She starts looking forward to these moments, thinking about them long after they happen, and emotionally attaching to the experience you create. Confidence strengthens emotional desire. When she sees that your emotions are steady, that you don't react impulsively to every mood or message, it creates safety and intrigue simultaneously. She feels challenged, curious, and drawn to figure you out emotionally. Your calm presence, paired with silence, creates tension that she wants to resolve by seeking your attention. It's also about pacing. Don't reveal everything at once. Let moments of laughter, thoughtful conversation, and shared experiences unfold gradually. This creates a rhythm she unconsciously follows, anticipating your presence, your words, or even your silence. Every interaction becomes a memory she clings to, a puzzle she wants to solve. Emotional desire builds not through force, but through subtle, consistent influence. Real-life examples are easy to see. Think of couples where one person seems to have an effortless magnetism. Often, it's not about being flashy or overcommunicative, it's about how they make the other person feel through presence, timing, and the subtle interplay of attention and absence. Emotional attachment grows silently, yet powerfully. When you understand how to trigger emotional desire, you control the tempo of attraction. She begins to chase not out of obligation, but because she wants the feelings that only your presence, your gestures, and your subtle energy can provide. Silence becomes more than just a lack of words, it becomes a tool to make her emotionally invested, curious, and drawn toward you instinctively. At this stage, the chase is no longer about just attention, it's about building a real connection. All the silence, subtle signals, and emotional triggers you've mastered create curiosity and desire, but lasting attraction requires depth. A woman will chase endlessly if she feels emotionally engaged, valued, and connected. This final step is about transforming her pursuit into a meaningful bond. Confidence is the cornerstone. When a man remains calm, grounded, and consistent, it signals stability. Women are naturally drawn to someone who can handle his own emotions and life without being needy. Your silence, your pauses, and your subtle gestures all communicate that you're self-sufficient. But to turn attraction into connection, you must pair that confidence with attentiveness. Listen genuinely, respond thoughtfully, and show that her thoughts and feelings matter. The balance between independence and emotional engagement creates magnetic tension. Timing and pacing continue to play a critical role. Overexposure can weaken the effect of your presence. Even at this stage, maintain the art of thoughtful absence. Respond with intent, share personal stories selectively, and avoid flooding her with constant attention. When you reveal more of yourself gradually, every interaction becomes meaningful. She begins to associate you with patience, value, and a sense of calm security that is rare and deeply attractive. Physical presence is also part of the connection. Small, meaningful touches, leaning slightly closer while listening, or just being in sync with her movements builds unconscious rapport. These gestures reinforce the emotional pull created by your strategic silence. When she experiences this combination, she feels both the excitement of desire and the comfort of trust simultaneously. Words now carry weight. When you speak, each phrase should reflect intention and authenticity. Compliments, reflections on shared experiences, or expressions of interest become powerful because she's already emotionally invested. The emotional desire you triggered earlier now has a context. She understands that the connection is real, not superficial. Your words no longer compete with your silence, they enhance it. The key is to keep the dynamic balanced. Too much intensity can overwhelm her, while too little engagement may make her lose interest. By controlling the pace and layering your presence with confidence, subtle signals, and emotional triggers, you guide the chase toward meaningful interaction. She begins to pursue not just the idea of you, but the actual experience of being with you emotionally. Trust also grows naturally through this process. A woman chasing a man often seeks validation and security simultaneously. By maintaining consistency in your behavior, being reliable, calm, and responsive in measured ways, you cultivate trust. This ensures that the chase evolves into mutual interest and respect, rather than just temporary desire. Stories from real-life relationships illustrate this perfectly. Couples who thrive are rarely the ones who rush into openness or chase constantly. They are the ones who create rhythm, moments of silence, moments of attention, and moments of shared emotional depth. Each pause, gesture, or subtle glance becomes part of a language only the two of them understand. The chase turns into a dance of connection, curiosity, and emotional intimacy. Finally, this approach empowers you. You no longer feel the need to prove your value through words or actions constantly. Your presence, your energy, and your ability to balance silence with engagement naturally draw her in. She begins to chase because of the person you are, not just because of the tactics you use. Attraction becomes effortless, and connection becomes genuine. When mastered, silence is no longer emptiness, subtle signals are no longer small gestures, and strategic withdrawal is no longer just absence. Every element works together to create a rhythm, an emotional flow, and a magnetic connection. She chases not just for attention, but because she wants the emotional and psychological experience that only your presence can provide. In this space, attraction transforms into connection, desire transforms into emotional investment, and the chase becomes a shared journey of intrigue, care, and respect.